My son tried to have me declared incompetent at my own kitchen table, so I filmed the scam, locked down my money, and made the judge say the only 2 words that mattered: petition denied. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment letting us know where you're tuning in from. My name is Richard Hale. I am 70, a grandfather of 3, and a widower who still sets a place in his head for his wife, Caroline. I spent 40 years building a small plumbing company in Arizona, sold it, and plan to spend the rest of my life fixing things that do not scream when you touch them: old clocks, leaky faucets, toy trucks with one wheel left. The week after Caroline died, the bank called to confirm beneficiary changes on 3 accounts I had not touched. Their security robot had a recording of my voice moving the money to a place I had never heard of, Haven Trust Services, with a mailing box in a strip mall on the far side of town. The voice sounded like mine. The password was mine. The time stamp was 2:17 in the morning, a time when I am awake only to think of lemons and rain. Freeze the change, I said. Send me the call transcript and the computer location you have on file. The banker read me the new address, a private mailbox near a plant shop. He sent the call log, a neat sheet of numbers and times. Then he said, "We had voice print confirmation, Mr. Hale. We are obligated to honor authenticated changes." "Not when the man with the voice is not the man with the life," I said. After I hung up, I sat at the kitchen table where we used to play gin, and I listened to the house breathe. Caroline would have told me to keep my head warm and my heart cool. I knocked twice on the wood like a man waking himself up. Then I moved. Haven Trust Services looked clean online, plain colors, big promises, words like simple and safe. Their partner firm, Family Transition Helpers, promised to hold your hand through the hard paperwork. Their testimonials were polished in a way true grief never is. Their phone number matched the number on a state filing for both companies. They had been open for 6 months. While I was reading, my doorbell rang. I checked the camera. My son, Ethan, was on the porch with his wife, Madison. She held a casserole like a shield and wore sunglasses indoors. "Dad," Ethan said, stepping in. "We came to check on you." "You should have called," I said. Madison extended the dish without looking at me. "Lasagna." "Thank you," I said. I put it in the fridge because it is a sin to waste food, even when it comes with a string tied around it. Ethan rested his hands on the back of a chair like he was about to sell it. "We should modernize your estate plan," he said. I set a meeting for Friday with Family Transition Helpers. They bring a notary. Haven Trust Services will make everything clean. You just sign. No probate, no headaches. I know that tone. It is the voice you use with an elderly neighbor when you want the signature first and the conversation later. "Friday," I said. "Here is fine." He blinked, surprised I had not argued. Madison's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and smiled in a way that made my molars press. "Good," she said. "They are angels." I walked out to the garage and called my daughter, June. She teaches 3rd grade and keeps a jar of marbles on her desk for when math is mean. She is small-boned and steady. She answers the phone like she is already listening. "Do not come over," I said. "Just listen." I told her about the bank call, the fake voice, the mailbox, Haven, and Friday. She was silent for a count of 10, then said, "Dad, police?" "Not yet," I said. "We will build the box first. Then we will put the snakes in it." "Abby?" she asked. "Yes." Abby used to be a notary. Now she trains them how not to lose their stamps and their freedom. She is also family by marriage and by temperament. I called and explained. Remote notarization is a video call, she said, already in motion. It leaves a trail, time stamps, the list of those identity quiz questions about old addresses, the device used, the internet location of the computer, even the walls behind the person. If someone pretended to be you, we will find where they Saturday. Friday. 10:30. My dining room, I said. Bring a friend who can pass for a supervisor. Copy, she said. We will be early. That night, I climbed a ladder and tucked a button camera into the canopy plate of the chandelier above the dining table. My knees argued. I told them we were doing this for Caroline. I placed an audio recorder under the sideboard that used to hold her linen napkins. Then I did the thing Caroline's letter told me to do the year she thought I might fall off the world before she did, move. Alan Turner has been my lawyer for 20 years. His voice sounds like gravel poured into a coffee cup. He loved Caroline and showed it by arguing with her about commas. I need a stronger plan by Friday morning, I told him. One that nobody can pry open with tears or tricks. We can do an irrevocable trust, he said. Think of it like a strong box that you do not keep in your own hands. A professional holds the keys, and you decide the rules now while you are sharp. Make the trustee a company that does not eat dinner with my children, I said. Someone who does this for a living. Mesa Trust Company, he said. Local. Boring. Good. You can add June as a co-trustee with limits. She can approve regular bills and care costs, but big moves need Mesa's signature. Do it. Add you as trust protector. If anything smells wrong, you can replace the trustee. Put in a clause that cuts out anyone who tries to declare me incompetent without cause or who signs papers to sneak assets away. And add a reward for any family member who warns me about a scheme before it harms me. You want a whistleblower bonus, he said, approving. Yes. Give it a nicer name if you like. Caroline's Clause, he said. Perfect. We met early Friday. We signed in his office with a witness and a real notary who spelled my name right without asking. We moved what mattered, the deed to my house, the titles to vehicles, the accounts. Where a person's name used to sit, the trust name now sat. Anything with a pay on death box now pointed to the trust, not to people. June received 2 very specific papers, a healthcare proxy so she could talk to doctors if I could not, and a narrow power of attorney for taxes, nothing more. We left the old will alone except for a new page that said, everything I own pours into the trust. By 10:47, my driveway filled. Ethan and Madison. A man in a navy jacket who smelled like a showroom. A woman wheeling a small case with a notary stamp in a clear pocket. Dad, Ethan said, this is Trevor from Family Transition Helpers and Pam, our notary. They make this painless. Trevor's hair had been lacquered into agreement. Pam's smile was all front teeth. Abby had arrived early and was sitting in the den with June. Abby's colleague, Catherine, wore a neat cardigan and a face that made people hand over the wrong thing. In her bag was a hidden camera and a badge she did not plan to show unless someone made a bad choice. We took our places at the table. The lemon tree outside threw a lattice of moving light on the wood. I put on glasses I did not need. I have learned that people who underestimate you will hand you their plan. Trevor began his song. Richard, I am sorry for your loss. We help families like yours every day. We will streamline your plan. No probate court. No delays. Haven Trust Services is the safe place. We just need your signature. Pam lifted a stack of papers, a new Haven Trust package I had never authorized, a deed for protection moving my house to Haven, 2 form letters changing the beneficiaries on accounts to Haven, and a supported decision document they misrepresented as giving Ethan and Madison final say over my money. Before we sign, I need to confirm identity, Pam said. Do you consent to a video recording for our file? I prefer to do this in person, I said, and nodded toward her real briefcase. Your stamp is right there. Catherine leaned in, cheerful. I am here to observe your process, Pam, she said. Pam's posture changed. Trevor shuffled his papers. I picked up the New Haven Trust document. My signature was already on the last page. It was clean. Confident. Not mine. When did I sign this? I asked. Silence. You could hear the chandelier hum. There must be a mix-up, Pam said. Abby? I asked. Abby stood. Pam, 2 days ago a remote notarization was done using Mr. Hale's identity. The person on the video had your voice and your hair. The identity quiz about old addresses was completed in under 4 seconds per question. That is faster than most people read their birth date. The computer location traces to a co-working office on South 1st Street. In the video, the air vent behind you has a paint crack shaped like a leaf. I took a picture of that same crack this morning. Trevor tried for warmth. Mr. Hale, there is a misunderstanding. Catherine's badge came out, small and quiet. Catherine Wall, state investigator, she said. We are recording. Ethan stood up. Dad, we are trying to help. You left the stove on. You went out late at night. I left the stove on to heat a kettle, I said. I stepped outside to smell the weather. Old men know wind better than they know the news. Your doctor says you are declining, Madison snapped. My doctor will say his piece in court, I said. But I already know what he will say because I asked him, not you. I slid the forged signature page to the center. Here is what will happen now. Abby will take these papers. Catherine will ask you questions on camera. If you want to say you were misled by a company, this is your chance. If you lie, remember that the chandelier is watching and the recorder under the sideboard hears the tone people use when they lie to themselves. Trevor looked at the door as if a cleaner exit existed. It did not. Pam went pale and whispered that she was only following instructions, which is something people say right before they learn what instructions can cost. They left without the papers they had brought. It felt like a roof leak you finally see, a stain that tells you where to cut open the drywall. By sunset, a process server delivered a packet. Ethan had filed for guardianship of my person and my money. He wanted the court to say I could not decide for myself and to put him in charge. In his petition he wrote that I wandered, that I forgot myself, and that I was susceptible to people who would take advantage. He did not mean family transition helpers. He attached a 1-page doctor's letter that misspelled my doctor's name, got my birth date wrong, and used a phrase no real doctor uses, stage 2 cognitive deterioration. My doctor says decline. The people who made this letter liked big words because they were selling fear. That night my granddaughter Violet called. She is 12 and writes in a blue fox notebook when her stomach aches. Grandpa, can I tell you something without anyone getting in trouble? She asked. Yes, I said, standing up because children's truths should be listened to on your feet. At the memorial, I heard Mom and Aunt Madison in the kitchen," she said. Aunt Madison said, "If we act fast, we can move everything right away." Mom said she did not want to steal. Aunt Madison said, "It is not stealing if it is prevention." Uncle Ethan came in and said, "Order matters, change beneficiaries, move the deed, then file guardianship." I did not know what that meant, so I wrote it down so it would stop spinning. "You did the bravest thing a person can do," I said. "You told the truth." The hearing was set for Tuesday. We prepared like mechanics on a cold morning. Alan filed our objections: no real medical proof, wrong birth date, no attempt at less restrictive help first, and a request for the judge to hear from the investigator. Abby assembled a simple report, a timeline, screenshots of the remote notary session, how the identity quiz was answered too fast, a photo of the crack in the paint. Catherine sent a letter to the court confirming there was an open investigation into attempted fraud against an older adult. June brought a short video of me teaching Max how to set a mailbox post level 3 days earlier. It is hard to show a judge your mind. It is easier to show a straight post. We sat in a courtroom that smelled like copier ink. Ethan and Madison sat with a lawyer who wore his watch on the inside of his wrist. Trevor sat 2 rows back with his face arranged to look neutral. The judge had iron gray hair and eyes like a level bubble. "Petitioners," she said. Ethan's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, Mr. Hale is vulnerable and in denial. He left a stove on and wandered, and—" "Stop," the judge said. "Do you have a doctor here?" "No, Your Honor. We have his letter." "The letter with the wrong date of birth?" she asked. He stammered. "Even so, we have prepared a supported decision document." "Did Mr. Hale sign it?" "Not yet," he admitted. She turned to Alan. "Mr. Turner." Alan stood and made it simple. "Your Honor, Mr. Hale met with counsel Friday morning and signed an irrevocable trust with Mesa Trust Company as independent trustee and his daughter, June, as limited co-trustee. He executed a health care proxy and a limited tax power of attorney. We submit a letter from his doctor, correctly spelled, stating he has capacity. We also submit evidence of a fraudulent remote notarization session concerning Mr. Hale's accounts. Investigator Wall is present. Catherine stepped up. There is an active investigation. We have the remote session video, identity quiz results, and location trace to a local co-working office used by Haven Trust Services and Family Transition Helpers. The judge looked at the forged letter again, then at Ethan, then at me. "Mr. Hale, do you wish to speak?" I stood. "I am grieving my wife," I said. "I am not confused about who I am. I wanted a plan that did not depend on whether someone came over with a casserole and a pen. I built a strong box and gave 2 honest people the keys, a boring trust company and my daughter. My son tried to take the keys without asking." The judge nodded once. "Petition denied," she said. Costs to respondents. The notarization issue will be referred to the appropriate authorities. Those 2 words were worth every list, every ladder rung, every night I sat and listened to a house learn its new sound. The rest took months. Haven and Family Transition Helpers turned out to be a pair owned by the same people. Trevor traded his blazer for a plea deal. The notary, Pam, surrendered her stamp, then wrote me a letter from a shelter where she was volunteering as penance. The co-working office on South 1st Street put a fresh coat of paint over the cracked vent. Madison filed for divorce. Ethan moved into an apartment that smelled like last night's dinner. I am not sure which pieces of this were consequences and which were reasons. It does not matter. The line between them is not a line I need to walk. The strong box did what it was built to do. Mesa Trust Company pays my bills and says, no, as a full sentence. June signs off on groceries and repairs. Anything big, selling the house, moving a large amount of money, needs both of them. The trust says in plain words that anyone who tries to shove me into the incompetent box without cause, or tries to shift my money in the dark, gets cut out. It also says the first person who warned me in good faith receives a thank you. We called it Caroline's clause because she would have defended it with her teeth. Violet received that thank you. She put half in a college fund and half in a shoe box on a high shelf, which is how sensible people plan for both futures at once. Ben got tools and a warm shop winter can respect. Max got a small account that will grow while he grows. June received breathing room, which is a kind of money. Ethan received a path back, a small amount if he completes a community college ethics course and writes a letter admitting what he did. If he does not, that money goes to a night student scholarship. He has not taken the course. I do not chase him. One more name belonged in the trust, and I wrote it there. On our second anniversary, Caroline and I took in my niece, Rosa, when her home turned to glass. She slept on our couch and left one morning with a note that said, I will not become a problem. She became a nurse who brings soup that actually helps. She squeezed my shoulder in court when the judge mispronounced my name. She is family not by accident but by choice. The trust now says that out loud. You may be curious how the sting in my dining room looked on paper. It was not television. It was a handful of simple steps anyone our age can understand. First, I froze the suspected changes with the bank. Banks have a lock button for when something smells wrong. Use it. Second, I set the meeting at my house so the wrong people would bring their own papers and their own notary. The scammer's convenience is your evidence. Third, I recorded legally in my own home. One camera above the table. One recorder under the sideboard. In my state, I can tape what happens in my house. If your state is different, involve someone like Catherine Early. Fourth, I built the strong box before the fight. The irrevocable trust is simply a safe with rules. A boring company holds the key, your honest person holds the other. You write down now what happens later. You stay the boss of the rules because you wrote them while you were clear-headed. Fifth, I kept language plain. The trust says anyone who tries to take control of me without reason gets nothing. It does not try to sound clever. The law listens better when you talk like a person. Sixth, I brought witnesses who are calm and not easily impressed. Abby knows stamps. Catherine knows handcuffs. Both know what record means. Seventh, I let the wrong people tell on themselves. If you are patient, they will. I wish I could tell you that when it was over, Ethan hugged me and said he was sorry. He did not. He came once in the spring, stood on the porch under the lemon tree we planted the year June learned to walk, and said, I wanted everything. You wanted more than everything, I said. You wanted to be good while you took it. He looked past me into the house we both grew up in different ways, then left. I watched his taillights and felt the kind of tired you cannot fix with sleep. The house found its balance again, the way houses do when the work is done right. June brings lemon bars that she bakes a minute too long. Ben rebuilt the mower carburetor and looked away when I paid him for shop time. Max narrates imaginary baseball games from a stool in my workshop, calling his own strikes fairly. Violet planted rosemary for Caroline near the lemon tree and reminds me to cut it back so it does not take more than it gives. I keep the forged doctor's letter in a drawer. I do not read it. I just want to know where it is. I keep Catherine's card on the fridge, Abby's on the bulletin board above the bench, and Alan's number in my pocket. I keep a marble from June's jar on my desk to roll between my fingers when the air in the room turns strange. I do not think of the courtroom as a victory. I think of it as a repair. Something cracked, and we did not pretend it had not. This morning I stood at the sink and talked to Caroline about nothing and about everything. The lemon tree moved in the wind like someone nodding. I felt the soft ache of what nearly happened and the hard relief of what did not. I am an old man who built a box, placed love inside it with instructions, and turned the key. I do not feel triumphant. I feel steady. I feel the weight of my name in my own hand. I feel the house breathing like a thing saved. I set my cup down, listen to the quiet, and let that be the whole point.
Hello everyone, and thank you for watching. I truly hope you enjoyed listening to the story as much as I enjoyed creating it. If you did, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel to help support the creation of more stories like this. Have a great day or evening.